Can my spouse stop working? Can she just quit her job? This is the question I've gotten from clients, friends, many people lately, and I just wanted to go through a quick case study of a recent client case that I worked on in hopes that it might help a listener think about how to assess this in their own situation, whether it's a spouse quitting one of their jobs so that they can stay at home, take care of the kids, or maybe it's scaling back at work or in business to maybe make less money, to not have to pay for childcare and spend more time with your family. So let's dig in. I'm just going to lay out the case statistics, kind of what we're working with, the numbers, what we're thinking about, kind of what I'm thinking about as the advisor looking at this, and then what are the relevant qualitative facts that are going into this decision and thought process to have maybe one spouse stay home. So I think a lot of folks that are in their 30s, 40s, that are growing businesses, incomes, families, have this scenario pop up quite a bit to where we're paying X amount a month for childcare and we have both spouses working and it's just not making sense and we're stressed and we want to spend more time with our family or with our kids, raising them at home. I know this is certainly a calculus that my wife Shelly and I have certainly gone through as we're expecting our first here in a few months. And we've made the decision to have her here at home. And that fits with our plan. It certainly means less income, but it is the best situation for our family. So let's dig into it. Here's what we're working with today. A couple, the husband makes $250,000. The wife makes about $100,000. They're spending about $15,000 a month. They have 2 kids, and those childcare costs are running about $3,000 a month. We're going to assume that they're here in Colorado. They've got obviously 2 jobs, so their take-home income from that $350,000 of income after all, state, FICA, Medicare, federal tax is going to be $20,000 a month. That couple is spending 15 out of their 20, okay? And that's everyone knows 15. If we say we spend 15 a month, well, we're taking the kids to Disney World and things are going to happen, and not every month's 15, right? So some months, maybe they're spending as much as they make or even more, but on average, it's 15 a month. So their net is about $5,000 a month for saving, investing, doing things that they want with, maybe it's home projects, whatever it is. So that's with 2 jobs. If this couple comes to me, this couple is stressed. They were overworked. They felt like they're paying too much for childcare when one of them could just stay at home and would rather be at home. They didn't feel like they were getting the most out of 2 jobs. Their kids are young. They want to make sure that they're spending as much time as they can raising their kids properly the way they want to, not all of it at work in these crucial years. So deciding to quit one job, let's just look at the numbers and think about what does that do to their income. And this is where I think it gets really interesting because it has a tax implication, certainly, with income going down. It's not as big of a hit as you think. And then, if we're eliminating childcare costs, if one of the spouses is staying at home, then we also have that coming into the equation and helping us out as well. If this spouse didn't travel for work too much, but I've talked to in other situations where people are driving like 40 miles round trip to work. So if we're doing depreciation on the vehicle, we're doing travel costs, that can also come into this equation. So let's look at just what happens if the wife quits her job. And this could be husband, but this was just this specific real scenario with a client. Wife quits her job of $100,000. What does that take home go to? That take home income goes from 20 down to 14. But what does our spending go to? It goes from 15 to 12 because all of a sudden we have $3,000 a month in childcare. That is not happening, okay? Not that we aren't going to spend on our kids and they're not going to go do stuff during the day, but we're not writing a check for $3,000 a month to that daycare or whoever's taking care of our kids. So our net now with one job, very simply, is $2,000. What happened here? We got more time at home with our kids. We got less stress for the spouse that was working. What did we have to give up to do that? Just $3,000 that they weren't already spending. Pretty good trade for this couple. That's kind of a no-brainer, and this couple did decide to pull the trigger on this. There's other things to think about here too, like where are we at in retirement savings? I can tell you this couple's in their 30s. They had over $800,000 already saved for retirement. So they're in a really, really good position to do this. They don't need to sock away obscene amounts of money to reach their retirement goals. What is their discretionary spending versus critical spending? I think that's something else to think about. Like if, let's say this couple spends $15,000 a month, like could they really get by on 11 if they had to? Putting childcare aside, like could they find $3,000 a month to cut out in excess shopping or dining out? Those are typically two of the areas that I see kind of that fat expand in a monthly budget. You know, again, I said, is there travel to work? Is there clothes that we have to buy for work? One of the books that I love is called Your Money or Your Life by Vicki Robin. And something she talks about in that book is work stress. And not only what does that bring home qualitatively, but then quantitatively, like if we're stressed out, we're both going to work 40 plus hours a week. We're coming home, we're not spending enough time together in our marriage with our kids. And then what do we do to escape that? Well, we got to go shopping on the weekend. We eat out too much. And then we have to go on a vacation to get away from our jobs and our life and our stress here at home, right? And if it's different, if we flip that paradigm and we're really intentional about what work we do, and maybe we're not both working, we're not so stressed, maybe we don't have to spend that extra money to go escape that stress, if that makes sense. So I think there's a little bit of something there as well when we're talking about two spouses going full throttle versus maybe one of them throttling back. I think it eases the stress in the whole household, both qualitatively and quantitatively. I think another thing to think about here, if this is you, like could we dial back on retirement savings? Certainly. Could we trade in a car? I've certainly seen clients that have large car payments, and maybe somebody has a $100,000 car that we could really just trade that in and go get a really nice $30,000 car. Not to take it to an extreme, but could we downsize our house, right? Could we sell our house? We've had great equity swings up in the last few years. Could we sell our house and then go rent? Like these are all just options that we have and triggers that we can pull from a planning perspective when we're thinking about maybe one spouse dialing back at work because they're so stressed or they feel trapped and they want to really stay at home, take care of the family, take care of the household, take care of the kids. If we sum this thing up, like for this specific case study, we boiled it down to, let's ask the question in the reverse. We're taking home 14 from our husband's job or our wife's job. We are spending 12. We have a good net of $2,000 a month to have kind of that excess, that buffer. Would you go to work for $3,000 a month? You know, you get that offer, your friend down the street is making whatever, $100,000 doing this. Would you go take that job to then put your child in childcare and go spend time away from your family, be more stressed? Is that worth $3,000 a month to you? If it is, great. I think this is just a great exercise in like thinking about money in life. And I think where you're at and where you want to be and where you're going. I think there's certainly some level of grinding, if you will, that we all have to go through, especially early on in our careers to not only gain skills, but gain some wealth to be able to make decisions like this. This couple having $800,000 and looking at this is a lot different than this couple being in huge credit card debt and no retirement savings. Certainly, I think both spouses probably have to go to work, but like I think it is a useful exercise, especially for those that are growing families at home. Where is the priority? Knowing that money is just money and we can make it and we can spend it. How do you want to spend your time knowing you only have so many years at home with your kids and we can always go make money later? I hope that this was helpful. Most people never actually go through this exercise and fully think this out and what this would mean for their family. Most are on autopilot and aren't really running these numbers or having these qualitative conversations, these touchy-feely conversations around what this would mean for them and what this would mean for their family. I hope that this was helpful. I hope this makes you maybe think about your situation a little bit, whether that's working or just dialing back more, less hours, less, maybe if you're a business owner like myself, you can kind of have more or less clients, like you can decide more or less how much you make. Like you can kind of start to think about this in your life and your family and how you want to spend your time. And I think it's just a useful thought exercise to go through. What are we bringing home and for what? Why are we making this money? Let me know if you have any questions. Send me an email, eric@baskinfp.com. Really appreciate you being here. If this is a helpful podcast for you, you like this, share it with a friend. We've kind of just grown naturally lately not a lot of social promotion. We're just kind of trying to put out really good episodes every other week and just grow naturally that way. So really appreciate you being here, and we will see you in a couple weeks. Thanks. Thank you for joining us today. Do you want the exact financial planning framework that I use with clients? Go visit baskinfp.com, where you can grab a free download of the ultimate military and veteran financial checklist to give you the bluff on what you need to be doing to manage your finances. We'll be back next week with some more content to help you on your journey to financial freedom. See you then.